What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream, back with the community. Quiet week last week on the channel, not a lot going on, but we're back in business. It is the North London Derby week, and Premier League action is back. International break finishes this week. Um, and yeah, well, the week was going all right for Arsenal until a certain player got injured. We'll talk about that. But big up to everyone locked in. Hope you're all well, and hope you've all had a good weekend as we build back up towards the game. And we have got the Jamaica game on Tuesday night, which is a massive, massive game for the country with everything that's going on there. And big up everyone who tuned in on Friday, was it? Friday, I was on the Jamaica stream on AFTV. I got there late because I was having problems with the car. So I ended up there the last 3 hours, 4 hours. But yeah, man, it was for a good cause as well. And we're going to try and do a show on here this week as well. Nigeria knocked out of World Cup qualification last night, man. A big shock in Africa. They lost to Congo. I watched some of the game, and I'll be honest, they were poor. They were disjointed. And I thought Congo deserved the win. They've got a few players now, Congo. You know, Wan-Bissaka, Masuaku. There's a few players there. But I think, I don't know about you, with a lot of these countries, man, it's the system. It's the setup, you know. Very similar with Jamaica. I know for a fact that Jamaica have missed out on calling players up to the squad because of the setup. You know, I remember when they played Suriname, Jamaica flew to Suriname and didn't have a return flight from Suriname to Jamaica. So they were stranded. They had to pay for their own flights. When things like that are happening, Premier League players are not going to play for the national team. And I think, you know, I'm not saying that's the same situation with Nigeria, but, you know, Nigeria is such a big country. How are they not qualifying for a World Cup? You got Victor Osimhen up front. Osimhen, Lookman, Iwobi, players like that. So I think it's a big loss for the tournament and the vibes. But I think some of these national teams need to really evaluate what they're doing wrong and why they're not qualifying for tournaments. Because they shouldn't even be in that qualifier whatsoever. But yeah, with Jamaica, I mean, even Jamaica people, like, obviously they've got a game on Tuesday to qualify against Curacao. They should have already won the group. Like, their group is easy. Their group is easy. They should have won this group. They shouldn't even be. They have to win, by the way. If they don't beat Curacao, they're going to go into the playoffs. And remember, Mexico, United States, and Canada are the host nations. These guys would have been in qualification with Jamaica. They wouldn't have made it. If they don't qualify for this World Cup, they might as well lock it off. You know? Yeah, Ghana have made it, man. Good for Ghana, man. Some of these nations, if McLaren, honestly, if they end up in the playoffs, I'd sack him before the playoffs. Get him out. Don't even give him the playoff games, because he should have walked through that group. But we'll see what happens tomorrow night, people. Big up to Say Nadu, who said, yo, see, I was creasing at Yardman via expressions on the punch bag. Had to pull it up 3 times. You man was laughing at Popeye punch. Bro, anyone who saw that, right? So expressions hit it quite well. Good technique. I thought, yeah, man, he ain't beating that. He hit it with the maddest punching style you've ever seen. And somehow he won it. They were going crazy on that stream. I can't lie. But yeah, man, it was a good vibe and for a good cause. Italy in the playoffs, yeah, man. Think about people growing up, how strong Italy were growing up. They'd be one of the favourites to win the World Cup growing up. Christian Vieri, Del Piero, all these ballers, Gattuso. Now they're in the qualifiers, playoffs. Sorry, yeah. Big up to the Irish, man. The Irish. I can't lie, man. You're like, you know, when Ireland are playing in like qualifiers and that, I always feel like I want Ireland to win. Their fans are a vibe, you know what I mean? And Troy Parrott hat trick. That guy, man. Honestly, they'll probably put a statue up of him in Ireland. The man scored a hat trick. Ireland were like, they lost to Armenia not too long ago, and they beat Portugal and beat Hungary with a last minute winner. That is, I actually celebrated when they scored. I was happy for them, you know, because when you go to the World Cup, you want nations where their fans are vibrant. Messaging. You want fans where you want teams where their fans are vibrant to be at the tournament. The Irish, the Dutch with the orange, the Jamaicans, all of that. So I was happy, man. Big up, man, like Troy Parrott hat trick. So yeah, we wanna go to the World Cup. Curtis, did you see Foden's assist of the century? I genuinely, Solly, couldn't understand it, and I mean, sometimes I have to be careful what I say, but um, Foden goes on a run through the middle and plays a simple 10, 15-yard ball into Eze. Eze bends it in the top corner. Worldy of a finish. Lee Dixon, by the way, who's an ex-Arsenal player. Oh, Foden, look at the run. Look at the weight of the pass. Not many people could do that. I'm like, do that, bro. I could do that. Most of you in the comments could do that. Eze's just bent in the top corner from 25 yards. You're talking about the pass. What are you talking about? But, and listen, people will say it's an excuse. It's not. It's the reality. I've got a good friend who's played for England, and he said to me, a black player will never be the golden boy of English football. They're not allowed it to happen. And when he said that, I thought, yeah. And he said, no, it's not possible. They will never make the poster boy. They will never make the golden boy of English football a black player. It's just a fact. Jude Bellingham's at Real Madrid, scored 20 goals in a season, won the Champions League, won the league. The media can't stand him. Oh, he moaned when he came off the pitch. He's got an attitude problem. Okay, fair enough. And that's the way it goes, people. Look at the way they treated Sterling. Look at the way they've treated Rashford. It's the reality of the situation. So we get it. We get it. So I'm not surprised anyway. Phil Foden, oh my God, look at the run. He played a 15-yard pass on the floor. I've never seen anything like it. Yeah, calm down, mate. But yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. The media in this country, one of the biggest problems, and not even just from that point of view, they make the England team worse as well, the media over here, because you get any level of talent, they're gonna go, right, oh, he's world class. They overhype players so much that when they can't live up to that, they then want to tear them down. It's the media in this country. I asked most of you in the comments, when's the last time you bought a newspaper? I don't think I've bought a newspaper for 10 years. To be honest, anyway, it is what it is. Let's not get caught up in it. Well, Nick, we know this, man, unfortunately, and I know this isn't the title of the show, but it's how it goes in this country, unfortunately. Like, we saw it with Saka and them lot. You're a star boy when you're playing well. The moment he missed a penalty, yeah, racial abuse, and that's how it is. That's why I find it very difficult to really get too involved when England are playing, but I still hope they do well. But anyway, news of the world. Yo, I can't lie. Back in the day, Sunday morning, if you wanted the transfer news, you might just walk to the shop, take £1, buy the news of the world, get the little transfer news, or teletext even before that. But nowadays, I'm surprised newspapers even exist. I don't think nobody buys a newspaper, maybe a few of the older generation. But anyway, let me get on with it. Can you give us Yardman improved fighting Robert? Yeah, I'm telling you, he should do a YouTube boxing match after that, Yardman. He really should. Fizzy said, Foden, amazing pass for Eze's tapping. Yeah, the 25-yard tapping in the top corner. And why always me said we are in big trouble. Haaland is on a different level. Let's get back to Arsenal conversation. Oh, just quickly, thoughts on Benn Eubank too. Benn schooled him. To be honest, the best thing that Chris Eubank Jr. did in that fight was walk out next to 50 Cent. That's the best thing he did in the whole fight. In fact, they should have swapped. Maybe 50 should have gone in the ring and fought Conor Benn, because I don't know what Chris Eubank did in that fight. They say in boxing, it will just catch up with you in a split second. I wonder if it just caught up with him. I mean, I'm hearing now the excuse that Eubank, they're saying that he was so drained of energy because he had to lose so much weight to be in the fight that he couldn't fight. But then I think you was at that weight for the first fight and you schooled him. So if But they say if you go below a weight that is natural for your body and you keep doing it, that it gets more difficult each time you do it. So maybe it was because he said he felt weak and he didn't have no energy. So Ben fought well. Um, I mean, I don't know if it was the weight, but Eubank looked a little bit like he should be retiring to me. Conor Benn was too quick, too hungry, and fair play to him. I think the better fighter won. But boxing is I don't know with boxing. Stage for a third fight. Well, Ben said he ain't gonna fight him again. I think his hunger got the better of him. You know, Eubank he's 36, he's rich. He didn't really have that hunger to me. Conor Benn looked like he wanted it more. Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul. As a boxing fan, it's a shambles. You know, it's an absolute shambles. To be honest, I don't blame Joshua for doing it because he's going to make loads of money, but it's a shambolic fight, to be honest. Yeah, he said, until you've done a weight cut, it's easy to say this and that performance. You could see no energy. Ben looked sharp, happy for him. Yeah, yeah. 100%, 100%. But AJ Jake Paul is shambolic for me from a pure boxing point of view. I always rated Anthony Joshua. From a boxing point of view, that fight, I've lost some respect for him. I can't lie. I know he's going to make millions, but is he at that point of his career? He should be having a fight like that. I think you do that when you're completely finished, but it is what it is. It's a dangerous fight, man. Jake Paul could get hurt badly. But I reckon that fight will be fixed, and AJ will just jab him for 12 rounds and not knock him out. Anyway, let's get to the Arsenal news, people. Let's get to the news that has put on a downer on the weekend for Arsenal fans, but we got to just keep it moving. It is what it is. And that is that Gabriel Magalhaes is injured. Injured inside the Emirates Stadium, playing for Brazil. He was taken off in the game, looked very unhappy. You know, players are always unhappy when they come off injured, but sometimes a player walks off and looks reasonably calm, and sometimes they look really disappointed. He was putting the shirt over his head. You know, that sort of, I know I've done something quite bad. It looked like one of them, and I was just like, oh no. Listen, we've got a good squad and there are players that we can deal with. And I do think, you know, an Nkapie, a Mosquera can step in and, you know, do the job for us. But it's the leadership. It's the goals as well. You know, we might be able to replace his defensive quality, but Gabriel is the biggest threat from set pieces. He's been getting goals and assists. He's the leader of the back four, and I just, you know, but I do think we can deal with it. I think people have to remember we beat Real Madrid last season, home and away, with no Gabriel. That was Kivior. Listen, for me, I think it's Nkapie season. I know a lot of people are saying Mosquera, and it probably will be Mosquera, but I would probably say Nkapie your time. You're going to cost 45 million. Let's see what all the hype's about. You know, just kept a clean sheet the other night against Canada for Ecuador. But who would you go for, Mosquera or Nkapie? Who would you bring in? Jay Dime, who was a steward at the game at the Emirates, he said, I tried to chat to Vinny Big C. He was moving rapid on that wing. That was the best game I've seen at the Emirates in like 4 years. Wow, that's not good because that means you enjoyed that Brazil game more than any Arsenal game that you've watched in all that time, you know? Can I just say something, right? And I just want to say this, and I said this today on Forever, but I just wanted to say this today, that I saw a lot of outrage from Arsenal fans online, right? And I understand it, but I just want to give my little insight into it. So a lot of Arsenal fans were saying Gabriel shouldn't have been playing, ban international breaks, blah, blah, blah. But we have to sort of break it down with a bit of reality, to be honest. Number one, we're basically saying that international managers should look after our players when we're the ones that have them on a week-to-week basis. So, if anything, The emphasis is on Arteta to rotate and rest these players, not Ancelotti. Ancelotti's going to turn around and say, well, I only get this squad 3 or 4 times a year. I've got a World Cup round the corner. I'm not then going to rest my best players when I hardly get an opportunity to work with them. I know it's annoying because this was a friendly, it wasn't a qualifier. So people were saying he should have rotated. I understand that. But ultimately, and I was looking at this, right? Gabriel played 93 minutes in the whole of Arsenal's pre-season. 93 minutes. So he effectively 1 game of football. He didn't play in Singapore. He missed both games in Singapore and he didn't play in Hong Kong. Right? He was on the tour, but he didn't play any minutes. He played 28 minutes against Villarreal and 63 minutes against Bilbao. So he played 90, 93? I think I've added that up wrong. No, 63 and 30 minutes. 93 minutes. We played Port Vale, a League One team, away from home in the Carabao Cup. Perfect opportunity. Gabby, have a night off. Put your feet up. I don't want you to travel. I don't want you on the bench. I don't want you doing the warm-up. I don't want nothing to do with that game. He's on the bench and he comes on for 20 minutes at the end of the game. Port Vale, League One. First opportunity to give him a night off. Second one, Brighton, Carabao Cup at home. Comes off the bench for 25 minutes in that game. Then you've got Slavia Prague, who are absolutely got a terrible record in the Champions League, and he plays the whole 90 minutes. It was a tricky game up until we scored, and then we ended up winning 3-0. So you've ultimately got to look at it and say, if Arteta's choosing to not rest him when he's got a clear opportunity, people are saying we've got one of the best squads. People are saying we've got defensive cover like you wouldn't believe. But when you've got an opportunity to go, Gabby, have a break, you're still playing him. So to turn around, I've seen people, do you know the worst one? Somebody put a tweet out saying Ancelotti did it on purpose because we beat them when he was Real Madrid manager. And it's like, come on. I get it. It's frustrating. When a player gets injured in a friendly, it feels like, why are they playing? But who are they supposed to pick? We know how passionate South Americans are about their country. Gabriel is now starting for Brazil next to Marquinhos. He's not going to want to not turn up and play. So my other question is as well, people, and I keep saying this, I haven't seen a Man United player, a Man City player, a Liverpool player get injured during this international break. People keep saying we're unlucky. How many players are we getting injured in a short period of time? It is crazy, and they need to investigate it. This one might be bad luck, maybe overstretched, maybe something, maybe landed awkwardly, but we are getting too many injuries in a short period of time. We're only in November. Gabriel's been injured, Havertz been injured, Odegaard's been injured 2 or 3 times already, Saka's been injured, Madueke has been injured. Norgard was injured at the start of the season. Ben White's had an injury as well. Martinelli's injured. Gyökeres is injured. This is 9 players I've just named. There might even be others that I've forgotten. Saliba got injured against Liverpool. 10 players. 10 players injured. And we're in November. And some of these are 2 or 3 month injuries. So something is not right why we are getting so many injuries. So, and I've said it so many times, Bizarre. Declan Rice injury would write us off. That would be the one that would finish us. Because we ain't replacing him in midfield. So we've got to look at this moving forward. So we don't know exactly how long he's out for. Yeah, Calafiori, there you go. We're at 11. He's been injured. What they've released in the statement, Brazil, it looked like he was holding his groin, but Brazil are saying it's his thigh. Brazil's statement was, Gabriel Magalhaes was reevaluated on Sunday, underwent tests that revealed a muscle injury in his right thigh. Therefore, he will not travel with the team for the match against Tunisia in Lille. They were playing Tunisia in France. He hasn't travelled. He has already had a scan that has revealed a muscular injury. I would say almost certainly he's out of the North London derby. You know, even a minor strain in your thigh would probably be 2 weeks minimum, 2 to 3 weeks. You know, so I would imagine Gabriel misses Tottenham, Bayern Munich, and Chelsea as a minimum. You might get him back the week after that best case scenario. So somebody's got to step in. Somebody has got to step in, whether that's Mosquera, whether that's Nkapie. I would like personally to see Nkapie step in, but I think it will be Mosquera, but who knows? Because I just look at Nkapie and think, this is a guy that's won the title in Germany, that's captain in his country, that kept a clean sheet against Argentina. Mosquera has actually impressed me and looked good, but I feel like Nkapie's level is probably higher than Mosquera when he's fit and he's settled into the team. I suppose the problem is, do you risk him in 3 big games? You know, because chemistry is something that you can't just guarantee you're going to have chemistry. We could go Calafiori at centre back and play Nkapie left back or Lewis Skelly left back. We could play Nkapie. We could play Mosquera. The options are there. It's just about what we go for. I suppose the one thing we could say is that looking at Tottenham, their attack isn't that great. You know, they probably have Kolo Muani or Richarlison up front. You know, I'm not that nervous about, even with Gabriel out, that we can handle that partnership. Bayern Munich is a different kettle of fish. I know Diaz is suspended for that game, but Kane and Elise, and then Chelsea the week after. So this for me is one of the players. If you named like 2 or 3 players and said, who do you least want to get injured? Gabriel would have been one of those players because he's a leader and he's a goal threat and he's our most informed defender. But now we're going to see how good this squad depth is, people. That's for sure. So Gabriel almost certainly going to be out of the North London derby, which is a huge loss. And like I said, beyond that as well, a lot of you saying playing Capie at left back, which is interesting. Spurs are good away from home. I think their system is more suited to counter-attacking football. Where at home, when they have to try and dominate the ball, they're definitely not as good. But I'm not being funny, man. And this isn't me saying it's an easy game. I'm not looking at the Gabriel injury and then thinking, oh, all of a sudden we can't beat Tottenham. Like, I expect Arsenal to beat Tottenham. I don't think it will be easy because a derby game is always difficult, but I expect Arsenal to beat them. You look at Tottenham, they've got no Maddison, they've got Kulusevski's out, Solanke's been out, they've had injuries as well, Basuma's been out, so... but we've got a tough week, and what we can't afford to do is lose more players. FK said, big up Curtis, would you rotate for the Munich game? I would like small rotation. So I would bring Lewis Skelly for Elise. Yeah, no, I would rotate 2 or 3 players. We've got 3 big games in 7 days. I don't think we can play the same 11 in all 3 games. I don't think we can do that. I think we actually do need. He needs to start putting trust in players. And show that these guys, the Bayern Munich game is the smallest game of the 3 games that we've got this week, in my opinion. It's a big game in the sense of we're looking at it going, can we show the world that we're not that 5-1 team against Bayern Munich? You know, that would show that we've come full circle if we could beat them. But I think the 2 Premier League games are bigger. Now, I want Arsenal to win all 3 games, and they're all important. And don't make no mistake about that. But if we were to draw with Bayern Munich, we're still going to qualify. We're still going to qualify. We've made a great start in the Champions League. We've still got a couple games that aren't as difficult, and we're going to qualify. But we've seen what Man City are doing. Man City have got Newcastle on Saturday afternoon, and we play on Sunday. That Tottenham and Chelsea double header is massive for Arsenal. Massive. You know, if City win, they're a point behind us heading into the derby. If they lose, we could go back to 7 if we were to win. So the 2 Premier League games are the biggest games. That Bayern Munich game for me it's important, and I'll be hyped. And you never want to lose to a team with Harry Kane on the pitch. But I look at that Bayern game, like I want Arsenal to have a go at Bayern and just kind of don't be overly attacking, but just try and show them what we're about. I would play 10 defenders. You know, I think you just have a go at Bayern and see what they're about and have a bit of, it's like a sparring match, you know, you're sparring with them, go and throw a few punches and see what we can do. What we now need, people, is players to step up. We need players to step up now. Saka, we need consistency. Eze, I looked at Eze in that England game, not yesterday, the one where he scored the other day. He looked better in an England shirt than an Arsenal shirt. So I need to see Eze now stepping up. If Victor Gyökeres is back, now you know what the league's about now. We've got to get more out of you now. We can't just defend our way to winning games all the time. So it's time for some of these players to step up. Unreasonable said, we demand Arteta's resignation today. He's injured all of our players, people. He's injured all of our players. Nah, listen, he's got to prove what he's about now with the squad rotation, people. Simple as that. Couple of other things. We're going to be focusing a lot on injuries, to be honest, because this is all of the discussion at the moment regarding Arsenal players, who's going to be available for the derby on Sunday. But one player that should be available is Calafiori. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed it. He left the Italian training camp before the first game, didn't play, and missed their second game. Italy were beaten 4-1 last night by Norway. Norway have secured qualification to the World Cup for the first time since 1998. Haaland scored a couple of goals. Odegaard was over there but wasn't playing. And they are in the World Cup. Congratulations to them. This robot, Erling Haaland, is absolutely on fire. I don't know what is going on. But he's scoring against everybody. Which is a worry, you know, because you know, if he carries on with that sort of form, it gives them a chance. But listen, we have to focus on ourselves. But yeah, Calafiori was sent home, didn't feature in both games. But he is available for the weekend. And Fabrizio said, understand, Arsenal check confirms news from the last 24 hours. Riccardo Calafiori will be available for the North London derby. No injury, no issues, just overload. The interesting thing, what I forgot to say, by the way, was that Gabriel apparently trained by himself the day before the game, as Brazil were trying to manage how much training he did as well. So we've got a lot of fatigue in the squad. Calafiori's gone to Italy. He's not injured. He hasn't been able to play because overload, which means his body is under stress. He's not dealing with the amount of football that he's having to play. So they're having to pull him out of international duty. Gabriel training alone, and that's where the criticism, you can criticize Brazil, because you can say if he's being forced to train alone, maybe he shouldn't be starting in that first game. But it shows that during their club duty, they're playing too much football. So when they're going to play for their country, we're only in November. We're in November, people. The season don't finish till May, and our players are struggling with the amount of games they're playing because they've had injuries, because they're, you know, all those sorts of things. So that's the worry. That's the worry, people. MLS has barely played, yeah. So they might even have to look at Calafiori and say, look, Calafiori cannot be playing 3 games this week. So for me, I'd get him out. I'd get him out against Bayern Munich. I'd take him out of the side and give him a break. And then bring in either Nkapie at left back or give Skelly game time. So good news is that Calafiori will be available. But like I said, with hearing that he was pulled out through too much training and stuff, he's going to need a break next week. But fair play to Italy for giving him a break, because they were pretty much guaranteed to finish second in their group anyway. So they probably thought it's not worth risking him. Need to play Calafiori left centre-back, less running. He played centre-back during pre-season, and I thought he looked good there. That is his natural position, so it will be interesting on that one. I think he will go with if I was going to guess what Arteta goes with in the derby, I reckon he plays Mosquera and Saliba just because they've done it before. And then I think he goes Calafiori at left back, personally. But maybe because Nkapie's had minutes recently, but then he's played most of his minutes at left back. So it'd be interesting. It'll be interesting. Timber and Saliba and then two others. But it's good that we've got options. You know, it's definitely a positive thing that we've got options. Couple more things to talk about, people. So many injury stories today, by the way. Curtis, when he's 29, coming back. They reckon he's training now. I don't know if he's in full training, but they reckon he's close. So I don't know. Gabriel, we don't know exactly how long he's out for yet. He's had a scan. We're waiting for the results. So I think he'll be out for a while. Definitely too much football. I feel like, back in the day, you didn't hear players tired in November. When the season lasts till May, how are they going to get through a whole season if they're already tired? Sean said City will beat Newcastle 5-0. I can't see anybody beating Newcastle 5-0 at St James's. They're not in the best of form, Newcastle, but I think at St James's there'll be a different proposition. Lawrence said, let's not lie, Havertz will be a great squad addition. Yeah, listen, for me, Havertz is a player that I don't rate that highly, but it's because of the role that he was in. Sometimes there can be a player that when he's starting every week and he's your main striker, you go, I don't rate him because of the role that he's in. He's playing in a role that's too high for the quality that he's at. Havertz should not be your main striker. I don't mind Havertz being a squad player at Arsenal. That's a good option to bring off the bench. He's a different kind of player. Gyökeres is the out-and-out striker. Havertz is more the link-up striker. I don't have a problem with Havertz being a squad player at Arsenal. I want to make that clear. But if you're starting him every week up front, nah, not for me. But I still stand by what I've said many times. I would cash in on him in the summer if somebody offered good money, because can a squad player be on 275 grand a week? I don't think you can. I don't think you can. You look at Liverpool's highest paid player is Mo Salah. Manchester City's is Haaland. Arsenal's is Havertz. That doesn't really fit in with how it should be. One of your best players should be the highest paid, not a squad player. So that's my only issue with Havertz. I think that's too much money for a squad player. DM said, Mr. Curtis, from what I'm seeing, Arsenal fans say Saka and Max are better than Yamal. They should be able to win it. Yeah, they get carried away. They get carried away, man. Yamal's he's ridiculous for me. Max was balling out for the under-19s, though. Lawrence says, valid, but who is buying him? I think clubs would take Havertz, but it's the wages, So we'd probably have to take a reduced transfer fee. I reckon a club in Germany would take him, but you're just not getting 275 wages anyway. Arteta, like Wenger, would never resign or leave Arsenal, said unreasonable. Do you think it would take him to be sacked? He wouldn't walk out. But yeah, our fans get a little bit carried away. But yeah, it is what it is. We're just really looking ahead to the weekend. Interesting that we got a little. I don't know if the show's out yet, but I did the show this morning with Robbie and Jack and Lee. And I didn't realize Robbie was going to mention it on the stream, because he mentioned it off camera, but he mentioned it on the stream. And he said he's heard from somebody, one of his sources. I don't know how good a source this is, but he said that Brentford are trying to sign Nwaneri on loan from Arsenal, and that Arsenal are not completely against the deal, which I don't know how I feel about that, if that is true, by the way. And that's not me. So if that doesn't happen, or go back to Robbie. But just as a brief discussion, how would you guys feel about that? I mean, I think he's a real top young talent. But let's be real, he's not getting a lot of game time at the moment. We're in November. He hasn't played that much football if you're looking at stats. is he better off going to a team like Brentford and getting game time, or do we keep him because we need a big squad? I don't know. I think from a selfish point of view, I would like to keep him, but then sitting on the bench is going to stunt his development if he's not getting more game time. So I don't know. I don't know. I said this the other day that I would rather have too big a squad than a squad that could potentially leave us short, because we've been here before. I think for his development, he probably needs a loan, you know. I think he probably does need a loan. I think to go to Brentford and get 20 games would be better than sitting on Arsenal's bench and not playing very often. There's too much traffic in front of him, to be honest. I think when he signed that 5-year contract, he was going to get a lot of football because it was Odegaard and he was the number 10 who covered. The moment Havertz gets injured, Arsenal sign Eze. That has pushed him to third choice attacking midfielder. Even with Odegaard out, he's not coming on. You know, Eze comes off, he doesn't always come on. So I just don't know where we're at with him. You know, I feel like he's too good to loan out, but at the same time, you know, I remember Smith Rowe going on loan. It was pretty good for him. I remember Jack Wilshere going on loan back in the day. It did well for him. Sometimes when you're a young player, there's nothing you need more than game time. You know, it depends. Listen, there's different situations. Southern Guna said, keep an eye on the table in the Champions League. Look who's under us. Big up Matty, man. Big up Matty. I'll have a look, actually. Lawrence says, how highly do you rate him? I think he's got loads of talent. The thing is, Lawrence, for me, is when I've seen him in an Arsenal shirt, I think he plays better on the wing than he does in the 10. I think he loses the ball too much in the 10. He plays a very dangerous game, sometimes gets caught in possession. I liked him more when he came in on the right, and he's getting 1v1 with left backs, and he was going past them easy when Saka got injured last season. In the 10, I think he's a little bit, I don't know what the right word is. You look at Odegaard, he's very composed on the ball. Eze's very composed. Nwaneri is a bit erratic, and I think that comes from not having enough game time. You know, men's football is very different from under 23s. I think he's got great talent. I really do. I really think he can be a top talent, but it depends how much football he plays. But we'll see with that one. You know, so, you know, I've heard Robbie's sources before. They're not always, you know what I mean? They're not always the most definitive. So yeah, maybe can do that one on Transfer Daily, 1st of January. You know, but big up to everyone in the chat. 1,750 of you. Big up the Twitch gang as well. Arteta just doesn't prefer him. I don't know why. I think he will be loaned out. I think when you look at a manager like Arteta, he's all about possession. Keep the ball. Don't give the ball away cheaply. And Nwaneri at times does lose the ball easily. Rohan makes a good point. He said, disagree. Pep didn't play Foden. Well, he's been playing like Phil Foden the last couple of years. Phil Foden, for 3 years, Foden kept quiet. Nwaneri needs patience. Listen, there's flip sides, isn't there? Like, you know, Foden. I heard about Foden when he was coming through Man City's youth team, and like, because obviously we travel around with you know, Cruz plays academy football, so you speak to coaches at other clubs and stuff like that, and coaches were saying Phil Foden is the best player they have seen to come out of Man City's academy, like ever. They were saying he's the best. I don't think people are saying Nwaneri is the best player to ever come out of Arsenal's academy. He's a hell of a talent. So I think Foden was like, he was ready to go. It was just a matter of him getting first team football, and Pep held him back. And Pep even turned around and said he's the best player, that teenager that he's ever brought through a system as a teenager. Obviously, Messi was already in the first team when Pep arrived. So on the flip side of that, you've got the Reiss Nelson thing. Reiss Nelson hung around Arsenal for years, didn't get enough game time, and he stagnated at the club, hasn't he? And we're sort of going, what happened to Reiss, man? He was meant to be a superstar, and now he's probably going to leave um, and just nothing happens. So we'll see what happens with that one. Gabriel Jesus is back. I haven't even got a story lined up for that one. But yeah, he's in full training. But how long? He may need some game time, I think, before he gets back involved with the first team. I reckon he'll play a few youth team games. Dowman is the one. Dowman's a crazy talent, man. He's a crazy talent. But again, it's about game time, isn't it? How much game time is he gonna get? That's the problem. But he is 15, so you know he hasn't even finished his GCSEs. He's still doing exams, so he really isn't in a rush. But Nwaneri, I think, won't have as much patience as people think. I hear this a lot. Oh, he's only young, but you know these guys, you know, they think they're ready to play now. So it's whether they're gonna have that much patience with it. But we'll see with that one. Right, let's a couple more stories going into the weekend and who will or won't be available. That's a good point. The best player I've ever seen come out of the youth team is Cesc Fabregas. That's the best one. He's number one. Noni Madueke apparently is available for this weekend, people. He was apparently, as we've already spoken about earlier in the week, 50-50 to play against Sunderland, but Arsenal decided not to play him because they thought first game back, Sunderland away, very physical, give him the extra 2-week break of the international break and make sure he's available for this. And he will apparently be in the squad for the North London derby, which is a big boost. And even for me, people, this is a player that when we signed him, I'm going, oh, why we signed him? Whoopi Goldberg, 52 million, 53 million. Now I'm going, yo, I'm glad he's back. You know, we need options, but we need options. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Tottenham, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, we need attacking options. Noni is a very good option. Um, we need speed, we need pace, you know, it is what it is. The game's the game, people. The game is the game. It's like Anthony Davis there, young, suddenly he's 33. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Noni is back. He should be available this weekend, and we need him. We need all of these players back at the moment. We are short of attacking options, and you know we're missing 6 players. You can't miss that many players. Majority of them attacking players as well. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Noni, but he should at least be on the bench. Wouldn't expect him to start. But Madueke is back. Who would have thought we'd be so happy for Noni Madueke to be back, people, in an Arsenal shirt? Just going through the other ones and what we're reading. Don't quote me on this, but we will get this in the press conference later in the week. Apparently, Martinelli is expected to be back as well this weekend. Obviously twinged his groin, I believe it was. But a lot of the reports are that Martinelli should be okay, but we'll see. And the thing is always when they come back from an injury for a few weeks is, are they fit enough to start or are they just going to be on the bench and maybe be an impact player? But, you know, Martinelli and these guys, he hasn't been out for long. It's been a few weeks. Gyökeres a few weeks. You know, you got to think with Madueke, he's been out for 2 months. You know, Odegaard's been out for a little bit. Havertz and Jesus obviously have been out long term. So Martinelli, from what we're hearing, should be back. The one that I'm really interested in and desperate to find out is this man, Victor Gyökeres. Now, according to reports, he is training and they expect him to be fit, but this isn't definite. This isn't definite, but a lot of the reports going around are saying that Martinelli and Gyökeres are expected to be back. Madueke is back. Martinelli and Gyökeres are expected to be back. So we need, honestly, people were calling me Gyökeres lawyer. Cool, I get it. And listen, it is what it is. But I'm telling you now, you saw in that Sunderland away game why I believe he's so important. I genuinely believe if Gyökeres was out of this team long term, I think we'd be struggling. I think we'd be struggling, honestly, because we need both options. It'll be good to have Havertz back as that impact player off the bench with the link-up, but you need the guy that's just going to... Sometimes you need a striker that's going to go and wrestle a centre-back, that's going to, you know, use his physicality and I think we saw in that Sunderland game that we need a striker. We need a presence up front. We need somebody. Look at the way Ballard was bullying us and stuff like that. We needed somebody to go up against him and give him some back. Marino couldn't do it. He spent most of the game doing roly-polies on the floor. So Gyökeres was pictured on Oxford Street shopping. People going, look, he's walking around. He's fit. No, you can walk around with a hamstring strain. But hopefully he's available. Apparently he's back on the training ground. But whether he's back in full training with the group is a different story. I'm sure we'll find out over the next couple of days. And we've got some interesting insight actually on Forever because Leah's just come back from Dubai and Nicholas Yova was in his hotel. So he was asking him some questions and trying to get insight and stuff like that. So yeah, he was saying that Havertz is close to being back as well. So yeah, we will see, people. This is a massive, massive first week back. The fact that Man City are playing Newcastle away, and then we've got Tottenham, Bayern Munich, and Chelsea. Remember, Chelsea have got Barcelona next week, midweek as well. So they've got a tough game in the build-up to the game at the Bridge. But yeah, for me, people, we need 6 points out of 6 in the Premier League. If you said to me now you can win 2 out of the 3 games next week, I'd say give me the win against Tottenham, give me the win at the Bridge. I'll take a point against Bayern Munich. We'll still qualify. We'll be fine in the Champions League. Listen, best case scenario, we smash Tottenham in the derby, we roll Bayern Munich over, and then we go to the Bridge and win. But I'm saying in an ideal world, that's what we want. But we need the 2 Premier League victories more. Chaitanya said, big up Big C, Big Gabby is important to us, but it's about time our attack does some of the heavy lifting. Score more, about time the defence gets a break. It's a team. I hear you on that. I've said this for a few weeks, that a team is too reliant on the defence. Sometimes an attack takes pressure off the defence. You score a goal, you score a second goal, the defence aren't under as much pressure. It's like we're saying, oh, we'll keep a clean sheet every week and then we'll nick one from a set piece. You ain't going to win a league title like that. Eze needs to start balling out. Odegaard needs to come back and get fit and start playing well. Gyökeres got to score more goals. Saka's got to perform at a higher level. Trossard's in decent form at the moment, to be fair. Martinelli's got to come back. This attack have got to take some responsibility. Do you know what I mean? And I totally agree with you on that. So, at the moment, Arsenal's probably most in-form attacker is probably Leandro Trossard. And this isn't me saying that I don't rate Trossard, but I don't want Trossard to be Arsenal's most in-form attacker because his peak is probably here, where Saka's peak's probably up here. So I agree with you. I agree. Our attack needs to step up. 100%. Our attack needs to step up. They need to start scoring goals in big games. And we've got 3 big games this week. I heard that Cole Palmer might be back for the Arsenal game. He might be back. So, yeah, he'll be up for that. The Panda been kicking. Yeah, man. The Panda's been balling. I can't lie for the level. And you know what? Speaking of Kung Fu Panda, Mr. Trossard himself, no Stella or Trossard jokes. I don't know what I make about this story, but let me know in the comments, people. According to Team Talk, Arsenal are considering a new contract for Leandro Trossard. Though the move may be primarily aimed at boosting his market value, we've heard that one before, Rob Holding. New deal to boost his value. We sold him for £1 million to Crystal Palace. I'm not saying Trossard's Rob Holding level. Ahead of the 2026 transfer window, the 30-year-old has directly contributed to 8 goals in 14 games for Arsenal this season. I find this a bit strange, right? And what I find strange about this is they gave him a pay rise in the summer, right? Probably to motivate him. I was told on tour, you've read these stories anyway, so it's not like no big secret. Arsenal were open to the idea of selling Trossard in the summer, right? If Arsenal would have got a good offer, they would have let him go. They didn't get a good offer for him, so they gave him a pay rise, probably to motivate him, and it's worked. 8 goals in 14 games. No problem with that, mate. You're playing well. But why would you extend his contract? He's 30 years of age. Like, he's got a couple years left on his deal. There's no need for an extension on that contract. Just let that run out. You know what I mean? Or now, maybe if he scores plenty of goals, maybe somebody does look at it next summer and go, well, he got 15 goals. So we will take him for 20 million. But I don't see the reason to give him an extension to his contract. I don't understand it. And what worries me there is if you're giving Trossard a new deal and Martinelli signed a deal not long ago for 5 years, where's the new left winger? Are we going into the 2026-27 season with Trossard and Martinelli as our two left wingers? Because I don't want to see that. Without being disrespectful, that's not what I want to see. I want to see a new left winger playing for Arsenal, to be honest, in January, but it'll probably be next summer, which means Martinelli or Trossard have got to leave. So I don't know about that. All that protect his value talk, I've heard that before. It never, we're giving Sambi Lokonga a new deal to protect his value. No, he's on loan at Hamburg. Or no, we got like £3 million for him and we paid 17 million for him. What value did that protect? So I think they get too caught up sometimes when a player's in form. I'll give him a new contract. Do you know what I mean? Like, nah, leave him. Let him just play and leave it. No, we need to freshen up a couple of them, Martinelli or Trossard as your two left wingers. One of them needs to be upgraded, and then I don't mind. But nah, not for me. You don't need a new deal, in my opinion. But what do you guys think about that one? We just need to win trophies this season. That's all. That's all I'm interested in. I'm looking forward to getting back to club football, to be honest. The most attacking contract in the world, guys. And just finally, a story that we did speak about last week, but just in case you missed it. Solbakken, who is the Norwegian manager, when he was asked about Martin Odegaard's rehabilitation, he said, it is steady, it's going in a steady direction, but he is some distance away, which would indicate he's probably not going to be available for the North London derby, if that's anything to go by, because if a player is a week away from returning, surely you wouldn't say he is some distance away. That maybe indicates that Odegaard's injury is a bit worse than we thought. So at the moment, you're probably looking at Odegaard and Gabriel missing the Tottenham game. Odegaard's been out for a while, so I'm sure we can deal with that. You're hoping. I mean, I'm looking at it this weekend, people, right? Eze is probably going to get he'll probably be booed by the Tottenham fans, which, listen, we don't care. It's our stadium. But think about the fact Eze was 24 hours away from signing for Tottenham. He does a U-turn, signs for Arsenal. This is another great weekend for Eze to do the business. Imagine Eze scoring against Tottenham this weekend and kiss the badge or something. I mean, it's there. It's waiting for him. You know what I mean? And then hit him with the celebration, man. It's a big weekend for him. So, Eze, I've got faith that he can go in that attacking midfield role and do the business. I'm really, really, really hoping that Gyökeres is back. And, we need all the options we can. John said Lee Dixon is a Man City fan, hence his love of the past to Eze. Well, that would make sense. That would make sense. Liam said, maybe an unpopular opinion, but I think eventually our project outgrows Odegaard, too lightweight and too injury prone. We have had that discussion before about, we outgrew Zinchenko. I think Gabriel Jesus, Havertz ends up on the bench. Players that were starting players maybe 2 years ago are now squad players. So it might be a case of him ending up on the bench. My thing with Odegaard is he's got to have more of an impact. You're one of the highest paid players. You're the captain. He's got to damage the opposition more often. But then Eze has got to start doing that as well. But Eze at least has got the excuse. that he's only just joined the club. He hasn't been here for too long. So, but yeah, I do hear you on that one. I do hear you. They have to step up. There we go, people. We are done for the day. Lots of injury discussion. I will be back on tomorrow. Is anybody live? Are we redirecting anywhere? No, not a lot of people look like they're live. International break is knocked people out of their stride at the moment, and not many people are streaming at the same time. But listen, people, big up to everyone locked in. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. I will be back on tomorrow, 1:30 tomorrow. It was 1:45 today. Big up to everyone. Hit the like button, and I will see you all tomorrow, people. Bless.